Here we are at Bam Bam's Barbecue. It's Webisode 8, and we've gone from the small table to the big table. Maybe
what
a
does that
change in
mean?
luck. I think it's
exactly.
a change in luck.
I
We'll
like
just
that.
kind of see if that's going to fix things up. In the final game of October, it makes me think back about what an interesting month October has been for you guys.
It's gone on forever. So, man, a lot of challenges, a lot of chances to grow, a lot of learning experiences, and a lot of resilience with still optimism coming out the other end.
You could not have foretold most of what has happened this month.
No, I don't know how many chapters of the book have been written this month, but what I was hoping might have just been one quick chapter seems to be chapters. And so we're anxious to change it.
The Taysom Hill injury kind of changed everything, didn't it, in a way?
Well, what it really did is the team with Taysom was one team and one operational model and one strategy. Without Taysom, now there is a really different team, different operational strategy, and really different roles for almost everybody on the team, both sides and special teams, and even coaches. And so all that's happened is within a season, not between seasons with graduation or et cetera, within a season you match up. We are matching up and doing the best we can to make our current team capable of reaching its potential, which still could be a good team.
If Taysom were the only significant injury that you suffered this month, that'd be one thing. But it's been a long list of guys.
Yeah,
key guys.
It has been, and I really haven't stopped to dwell on it much. It just is kind of what it is because there's not much I can do about it once they're hurt to hurry them back. They're all trying to get back as fast as possible, but it would be nice to have Jamal, it'd be nice to have Adam, it'd be nice to have Algie, certainly would have been nice to have Nick Kurtz.
Or Alani or Craig Bills.
It'd be nice to have Alani and Craig Bills, and so if you're saying probably the most significant players on the team in terms of what they were counting on, the roles they could play, not only individually, but then collectively, about all of them have been hit.
There has to be some acknowledgement of the caliber of play might take a hit if you lose that many guys at the same time.
I think it's reasonable to make that assessment. Really, that's what nobody wants to hear, and what it would just be a byline anyway. All that really folks will look at is what are the scores, what's your record, and no one really cares how. And so it doesn't really do any good to talk about it. And really, as a coach, even on our staff, we don't really address it much other than trying to find commonality in how or why they might be happening, and trying to preventative. But really, our entire focus is on with the players we have. Where do we put them? How do we use them to get the best result?
So on game day of any given week, you've already got your game plan with the new guys set. That's what you're going in with. And I think the Nevada game's a good example of how Christian Stewart, by that time that game got rolling, he was playing like a BYU quarterback.
He played. It has been so much fun to watch from the second half of Utah State through the second half of Central Florida. Not the first half, but the second half. If you watch the whole game and see that growth and development, and then watch him in Nevada, the growth curve there for him specifically, not only his performance, but our staff kind of finding and shaping a niche that he can perform in with the existing resources he has around him has been really fun to watch.
What you guys did in that game with the number 2 quarterback and then running backs that are maybe 3, 4, and 5 on the depth chart, and without all of your wide receivers, 600 yards, he throws for 400 with 4 touchdowns and no picks. A lot of good things happened to where you go, we're going to win this game.
There was a ton of good things that happened, and really defensively through 71 plays. It was a winnable game and maybe clearly winnable. Then some situations changed so here's Christian and the offense's performance within all the yards, etc. But now here's maybe a 2-minute drive, or maybe here's a situation coming out, or maybe here's this. And so now there's some specificity of situations that add a little bit different and higher demand. And ball security showed up, defense gave up sudden change scores and short field scores, and all of a sudden, not just baseline offense or defense, but specific offense defense now is the next step of trying to continue to improve.
Against you and our turnovers kind of flipped the game, didn't it?
Turnovers flipped the game, and field position.
That was a big factor too.
With the special teams.
Yeah.
And so a couple turnovers, a couple special teams returns and or punt that kind of changes field position, and the game becomes manageable for them to come back. And that's really what happened.
So you're seeing resiliency, you're noting progress, and it's still 3 losses in a
Yeah.
row you have to bounce back from.
And it doesn't mean that the gap that we're going to need to get to play well enough to win on the road or at home, it doesn't mean that that's right here yet. It means that we're scratching, clawing, fighting as hard as we can to accelerate it. There still is a gap there, and so the games will still be close. What I'm encouraged by is the games are going right to the end. There's an overtime game, and we're driving to tie it in Nevada, and as long as we're within that striking distance, then each day that we practice and each segment that we really concentrate in, we get a little closer. And then maybe we make 1 or 2 plays that really the close games are 3 to 5 plays, and that's what it is.
What are the keys to keeping the room right now, keeping everyone locked and loaded and focused week to week?
You know, I believe a lot in ownership, not me owning and then speaking down to or now saying we will do this because I'm asking. My job is to frame it in a way of helping our players and coaches realize what is possible, what are they capable of, and what do they really want. And once that's teased out or that comes, my job is to hold them accountable to that. They want a special season still. And so if you look at the number of games left and the opponents, could that happen? It absolutely could happen. And so they believe it can. And then my job is to say, okay, with that goal or those goals, this is what it will take to get there. Do you want to do that? This is the cost. And if they acknowledge that, then my job is to hold them accountable to that. If they're in between, then they'll be in between, which means the chance for that accomplishment won't happen. If they're determined, if they're dedicated, if they're resilient, and they want to be held to that, then my job is a lot easier. And so I would say that we are in the resilient, optimistic, wanting to phase with the reality of how difficult it's going to be.
How difficult will it be to get the breakthrough in Boise?
Difficult. So Boise's team is very similar to Nevada, very similar to Central Florida. So Nevada and Boise played a 51-46 game that goes right to the end. If UCF played either one, it'd be similar. Boise played Connecticut, about to the same score that we did. It's going to be it has a chance to be very similar to the last 2 games we played. Playing in Boise is always a challenge, but really the game, if played the way both teams are currently playing, it could go right to the end. And
like it did the last time you were there.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Last 2 times.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, go back early.
Yeah,
in the
there
early
was a
2000s,
7-6-ish game, and there was a missed field goal at the end of one.
in the early 2000s.
Yeah. So, but right now we're preparing for that. We're not. It could go one way or the other, but this team is showing some resiliency and execution well enough to hold. Boise is a team that tons of gadget plays, trick plays, concentration plays, misdirection plays, and so. In their win over Colorado State, that was the difference. There can be multiple scores go on the board so fast if you're not concentrating, but if you are, then you got a great chance. And our offense is improving. Our defense is gaining momentum, still a ways to go, but special teams also has to improve for us for the field position. And so a lot of work to do.
You're so closely tied to the defense still.
Yeah.
How much does it hurt to see the numbers, that they're steeper than you'd like to see being scored against you?
It goes right to my soul because it's 10 years worth of not that, and so any way that I can help is what I'm going to do to help our current staff, because really what's happening is defensively more youth, more injury, more inexperience with one less coach, and so that's what Nick has been battling. And so any resource that I can lend now as a 5th coach, again, I've got the whole head coaching thing happening too. And so my hours will be longer, but it's okay because the cause is a good cause and I want to help.
From this week, what's been the thing that's given you the most reason for optimism or hopeful thought?
Well, just watching the game. And so not watching it in the stadium and not watching it in real time, but just watching it on film. And the number of things that were positive. Our secondary played so much better. Not a little bit better, not marginally better, almost a transformation. And so we've been working, and that has needed to happen. And so that was so much fun to see. The consistency, actually, that the offense had from beginning to end was really fun to see.
in tough times, finally, how much of it is a circle the wagons approach, us against the world, and how much do you still want to feel, or not? How much do you still acknowledge their support out there, that their people are with you?
Man, there's both on a daily basis. I don't know if it's the minority. I usually hear probably 10 to 1 negative to positive, but that's been ever since I've been the coach. 11 win, 10 win, 9 straight bowl game. None of that. What I usually hear is the complaints. It's no different now, but one of the coolest things happened. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, so yesterday morning, it was a 4:45 pulling out of the driveway at 5 a.m. and I'm pulling out, and every neighbor on my street, which is about 12, has a Rise Up flag hanging over the street, and it made a huge difference to me to know that there are some that are all the way in and pulling for us, and acknowledging just how hard we're trying, regardless of the small stretch that we're in right now, and so gratifying for those that are willing to say, you know what, we absolutely are with you, and I appreciated it probably more than they'll ever know, and but that's also part of being the coach. You're visible, and all your flaws are out there for everyone to see. Your strengths are out there to see, and the headlines become footnotes within, 3 weeks ago, the praise and the perception of not only myself but the program was different by a lot of the same people now that are the other side. So the wins can change people.
Okay, next step up is Boise State on a Friday night, which means
I have a logo. Oh man, it's a horse head of some sort. Yeah. There's intrigue right now, isn't there?
Because animal heads, I'm not sure if that's your wheelhouse or not.
There is intrigue here. How about that? What does that look like? That's not bad.
Put a circle around it, we're good.
Okay. There we go.
Got it.
Boise State. That's a wrap.